What we want to do in this third video for the chapter is start adding some of the extra details that are needed for our regulator valve setup. For instance, on taking a look at our reference image, we can see that the bottom or base cylinder needs to have a slight chamfer added at the top, and so let's select that, right-click and convert to an editable poly object, and in Polygon Subobject mode, we need to select the top and bottom polys. Then we can Control-click so as to enter Edge Subobject mode, whilst of course keeping our current selection intact. If we press F4 to turn on edged faces in the viewport, we can see that this gives us the top and bottom row of edges here. And so in the Edges panel on the Ribbon UI, we want to Shift-click on the chamfer tool so as to open up the CAD. In here, we want to set the chamfer to quite a low value of 0.03 centimeters and press OK. If we click again to come back into Polygon Subobject mode now, we can just delete the top and bottom polygons that we already have selected, as they are never going to be seen. Looking back at our reference, we can see that the next cylinder we need to work on has a small chamfer right at the bottom, but then quite a broad one at the top. So let's select that cylinder, and then right-click and convert to an editable poly. This time we want to select just the bottom polygon, and then Control-click in order to swap over to Edge Selection mode. In the Edge panel on the ribbon, let's again Shift-click the chamfer tool, and this time set the chamfer value to 0.02 centimeters, before coming back again to Polygon mode and deleting that bottom polygon. We want to then select our top polygon, Control-click to jump into Edge mode, and yes, you've guessed it, Shift-click on the chamfer tool. And this time, create quite a large chamfer, so something around about 0.25 centimeters, with a segments value of 3, which should do nicely. We can then click OK once we are done. Now we may want to make our chamfer a little bit bigger, but let's wait and see how things end up looking once we have smoothing applied. Skipping over the cylinder to which we have already applied the side extrudes, we see that our next piece has a unique feature in the form of these two flat sides, along again with a slight chamfer sitting at the top. Once more then, let's right-click and convert this to an editable poly object and jump into Vertex Subobject mode. Switching to the top viewport, let's select the two central vertices here, press R to engage the scale tool, and then just scale these down until they lie on a nice flat plane with the vertices on either side. If we then grab the two outer sets of vertices, we can scale these out along the X until we have just the shape that we want. With that done, we can come back to our perspective viewport, jump into Polygon Subobject mode, and then using the Control key to multiple select, grab both the top and bottom faces, and then Control-click in order to convert this polygon selection to an edge selection. In the Edges panel, let's Shift-click the chamfer tool, and then set a value of 0.03 centimeters, and hit OK. To avoid wasting computer resources, we can delete the bottom polygon if we want, but of course the top polygon needs to have this hole in the center where the thread travels through. Let's select that polygon then, and from the polygon panel in the ribbon, Shift-click on the bevel tool. We can zero out each of its parameters, and then drop the outline value to minus 0.24 centimeters, and click OK. Now of course the hole that we want to create here does need to be circular, which it currently isn't, and so with the selection still active, let's apply a Spherify modifier, with percentage set to 100, and then collapse back down to an editable poly. Then, after once again jumping into Polygon Subobject mode, we can adjust the scale of our polygon if needed, and once done, we can Shift-click again to make the bevel tool active and zero out all of the current settings. We can then set another outline value, this time minus 0.03 centimeters. We can then apply that, and then push the selection down ever so slightly, giving us this nice little bevel on the inside edge. If we then hit apply once more, we can hit OK to come out of the bevel tool, and finally move the polygon selection down into the hole. We will need to properly center and scale the threaded piece here once we have our subdivision applied to the regulator, but that is a detail that I will probably take care of, possibly off capture, later on in the course. In our next video then, let's move on to tackling the top of the regulator housing here.